The program from the Element Wealth Studios on this primary day, and thus it is very fitting that we have on the program the Secretary of State of Mississippi, Michael Watson. Mr. Secretary, how's it going?
Man, we are well, Gerard. On the road today, started in Starkville this morning, down to Louisville, Nanawoya, Meridian, and traveling, going to precincts. Not just talking about election integrity, but being an active participant in it, being in light, of Mississippians, so they could see us out in the precincts, watching, making sure the law is being followed. So, good day so far.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot this morning on the program, Mr. Secretary, about what appears to be fairly light voter turnout. Is it kind of in line with your expectations? A little below, a little above? What do you think?
I think they're always below my expectations. I want as many Mississippians out. We were looking at the absentee numbers earlier, and it's less than half of what it was 2 years ago. So, these are hard in June primaries. Folks are out with their families on vacation, just getting out of school, which is one of the reasons we try to drive up, the information that we put out on social media. Make your plans to go vote just in case you're out of town. So hopefully the numbers will continue to increase today. A beautiful day to vote across Mississippi.
Yeah. All right. So, and just to remind our audience, Mr. Secretary, an absentee mail-in ballot, when does it have to be postmarked by?
Today. Today's the last. It has to be postmarked by today and received within 5 business days. So make sure, again, if you've requested one, you have that ballot. Get it in the mail today. Make sure it's postmarked. If you're going to vote today, take your ID and take your informed mind. That's very important that folks take the time to research the candidates and make decisions that are going to impact our state in a positive light moving forward in the future.
So earlier I explained this and just want to confirm it with you that some folks are saying, well, I've kind of lost confidence in the integrity of our elections in light of the 2020 election where there were so many anomalies reported, investigated. None that I'm aware of, first of all, in the state of Mississippi. And secondly, primaries are actually administered by the parties. Is that correct?
That's right, and many of them hire the elections commissioners to run those parties primaries for them. That said, election fraud is real. It happens. We had some scattered events last election, but most importantly, people need to understand that's the rare, but it does happen. And too many times, I think, Gerard, we focus on this national level and forget about, at the local level, 1 or 2 votes can make a difference. So we've got to make sure we've got a trained eye to look for that. That's one of the reasons we're in the polls and the precincts today. We got about 20 folks out across the state going to precincts all around Mississippi to make sure we're watching and make sure the laws are followed. But again, we've got a great system in Mississippi. I have very much confidence in the system that we have here. It's a bottom-up system in Mississippi. The counties do most of the hard work. And being decentralized is another thing people need to remember. They hear these federal nightmares, but different states have different approaches to running elections. And Mississippi is very decentralized, so we have a safer system in my mind, and it matters. People need to get out and vote today. Yeah.
All right, and what time did the polls close in Mississippi today?
That's right. They close at 7 o'clock. If you are in line by 7 o'clock, you will be allowed to vote. And Gerard, look, another thing to remind folks, if you see something that just doesn't seem right, call us. Let us inform you. Call your circuit clerk, call commissioners. That's a very key part, making sure the communication is open.
Yeah, excellent point. Good point. I mean, because we'd want them done right, and I know you feel the same way, and your team, your staff, and the circuit clerks across the state as well. But you're right. Sometimes stuff happens. If it looks a little out of line, no harm in reporting that, to just at least take a look.
That's exactly right. And look, there's never a perfect election. But just like we talk about holding your elected officials accountable, be it local level, state level, the more folks we have involved with elections, paying attention, watching what's going on, the better results you get, the cleaner elections you have. So it's incumbent upon all of us to play a role in that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and of course, it's midterms, and we should also point out: are there any counties, municipalities, any jurisdictions, Mr. Secretary, that have anything but the midterm primaries on their ballot today?
So the Levy Commission Board in the Delta, there's 4 or 5 counties in that. You can go to vote.ms to find that information on our website. But that's the only one that I could think of. It's a general election on the ballot today. So that's the general, obviously the primaries for the congressional. And then if there is a runoff, people need to be aware. It'll happen 3 weeks from today. So if there is a runoff in any of the congressional districts, I know the 4th has a lot of traffic down there, so may have a runoff there. But people need to be aware. In 3 weeks, again, research the candidates, go out and cast an informed decision and an informed vote. Yeah.
All right. And then the general elections coming up across the country in November. What's the date there?
That's right. I don't have the date on the top of my head. I'll get back to you on that one. But I believe that sounds right, but I don't want to miss that one up.
Yeah.
So I'll be back and talking to you about that one again.
Okay,
focus
sure.
Today on June 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so and then runoffs, should we need those 3 weeks from today exactly?
3 weeks from today. That's exactly right, on the 28th. So be ready.
Yeah. Well, I guess the good news is, since we do have a light voter turnout, is you're not standing outside like you were in 2020. Of course, that was in November. We had lines all over the place. We want people to get out and vote. Don't misunderstand me there. But if you're worried about that, don't be. Get on down to your precinct and cast your ballot.
That's exactly right. But one of the things I love to point out there, Gerard, we did have some lines around the state, but the important thing is people always talk about how Mississippi is just so restrictive, and we suppressed the vote here. We had record number turnout in 2020 with the lines, with COVID, you name it, in our face, and we still had record numbers. So it's as easy as ever to vote in Mississippi, and I'm really proud of that turnout. Yeah. So here's a question for you that just occurred to me. We see objections consistently from the left that voter ID, photo ID, suppresses the vote, literally prevents people from exercising their right, their privilege to cast a ballot. Have you ever received in your office any reports from would-be voters that say, I'd like to vote, but I just don't have an ID, and in Mississippi we require that? I've not heard one single complaint in my office that I am aware of. And on the contrary, I think we've issued somewhere around 10,000 free pieces of ID now for people to vote in Mississippi. And that may be an ID they never had before. Yeah. So now they have one. They can go vote. And at the beginning, remember this now, we gave rides to the circuit clerk's office. So if you need to get to the clerk's office, you can get there and they will give you a free ID. They will print your ID out there and present that to you. Take your picture, and everything will be right there at the tip of your fingers. Yeah, so that's a great point. So, and we need to, I think, reiterate that. So, here in the state of Mississippi, when we hear all these objections as well, I can't get an ID, I just don't have whatever means I need to achieve one, to obtain one. I don't have any transportations to get to where you're telling me all that's handled by the state of Mississippi. At the initial point, that was one of the very most important parts. If folks say they can't get an ID, well, not only can we give you one at the circuit clerk's office, we're going to provide some rides for you. Unbelievable. Now, I'm not sure who all's still doing the ride piece there, but look, you call me. If you can't get one, I'll find a way to get you one. I hear you. November 8th, by the way, is the date of the general elections. And I perfectly understand that you're focused on today. That's the job at hand. That we'll get ready for that. And then the runoff, if we need that, would come up in 3 weeks. 28. So we only have 2, maybe 3 races where we have more than 2 candidates, I believe, on both the Democrat and Republican side. That's right. And most of the attention, obviously, has been on the 3rd and 4th districts. That's where most of the money has been spent. So you'll see a lot of traffic in those districts. But, look, every one of them are just as important as the other. And on the hills, and I mentioned it this morning with Paul, on the hills of D-Day, on the hills of Memorial Day, what better way to honor our men and women who went and fought for us for this right, for freedom, to get out and have your voice heard. And just excited about the great weather, and hope folks will get out to the polls today. Absolutely. All right, final question for you because we're running out of time. This train derailment down in Brookhaven, I think in downtown Brookhaven, are you aware of that? And if so, how might that impact voters' ability to get to their polls, and what do we do about that? I am not. We just got off our call with the office probably about an hour ago for the updates, but I will check on that. Maybe I'll send a helicopter down. I'll get folks to the polls somehow. Yeah, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get that squared away and clear the tracks there to allow the traffic to flow again. But it just, as soon as we found out about that at the studio this morning, that just occurred to me, man, it's primary day, and I hope that doesn't interfere with folks getting to their polling place. So that's right. That'd be great. I know you'll check that out in Lincoln County there, see what's going on. I will let you know, and you're right. I got the update as well on November 8th. So,
okay.
Great point to make. Never too early to plan.
Absolutely. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much, and thanks for being out and about in the state today and ensuring the integrity of our elections. You and your team really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on Middays.
You got it always, my friend. Have a great one.
Secretary of State Michael Watson's been our guest here on this primary day in Mississippi. We'll step aside for a break right here and come back with more in the Element Wealth studio.